April 19th, 1942. With the arrival of the spring thaw, both sides are now forced to settle down and interrupt all offensive operations. In this regard, the Germans have been quite lucky last week in wiping out the Torzhok pocket. But the Germans don't have time to celebrate this victory, because already this week they have to begin the preparations for the upcoming summer offensive, codenamed Case Blue. Howdy folks, welcome back to the channel and welcome to a new weekly episode of War in the East 2. So, this episode will be like a hybrid episode, because in the first part, in this, let's say, first 5 to 6 or maybe maximum 10 minutes, I would like to go through the plans for Case Blue, the upcoming Axis summer offensive, and in the second part, actually the second part will be fast forwarded, because with the rain and the spring Rasputiza, there is nothing else to do besides taking care of the logistics and, importantly, reshuffle the infantry units. So briefly, small spoiler, I want to, let's say, bring in the first line to the first line the 3rd Army and the 9th Army, and I want to start redeploying southwards the 4th Panzer Army. I have already, let's say, off camera reassigned some HQs over here, namely the 51st to the 5th Army. I have taken the 44th from the 6th Army to the 5th Army, and I've sent the 34th from the 1st Panzer Army to the 17th Army, and the 53rd from the 2nd Army to the 6th Army, and the 29th from the 17th Army to the 6th Army. And also I've sent the 55th from the 6th Army to the 2nd Army. I know, sorry, I think you are lost now, but I'm sorry about that. I didn't show it just because it was quite boring. I thought it was boring to watch, but for this episode I'm not skipping anything, because I don't want to hide anything from you folks. And without further ado, let's briefly talk about the case for the plans for Case Blue. So we have Axis success in the Balkans, we have Axis garrisons, partisan, the USS Roper and a U-85, a destroyer. Don't deny the two vessels encountered each other in the confrontation. Okay, oh, interesting. The first American ship to sink a U-boat. Interesting, okay, I didn't know. But what is it more interesting, I think, is Case Blue, or Fall Blau. Now, I didn't write it here because I forgot, but this event increases the Axis ground morale by 5 points, which means that between April and, I think, May, or just April and July, I don't remember when is the other event kicking in, but the ground forces of the Axis of Germany, only Germany, not all of the Axis, will gain 5 extra morale points, just to give them an extra punch, at least for the opening stages of Case Blue. And now let's talk about the plans for Case Blue. The plans for Case Blue calls for the capture of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and these 8, 9, 10, and 11 victory points. The goal of Case Blue is to knock out the Soviet Union by forcing the early end of the scenario. And I've made some math, and I can actually win this if I take control of Voronezh, Stalingrad, Astrakhan, and all of the Caucasus by October 1942. It's a deadly race against time. Nothing has to go wrong. Which is, I think, Murphy's Law, if I say this, but nothing has to go wrong, and I have to conquer these victory points to force an early surrender. Exactly, so here I have now 708, and the yeah, exactly. So now the total victory, the sudden victory points are 800. They will spike, I think, to 900 by the end of September or early October. Now I don't remember. But yeah, so I've made the math, and if I can take all of these victory points, I can actually win. And so, how to take those victory points? Well, the plan is very simple. First of all, the Second Army, part of the Sixth Army, and the Fourth Panzer Army will begin the race towards Voronezh. They will surround Voronezh, and then the plan is to establish a long defensive line stretching in this direction here. I will cross the Don and maybe take control of these areas and screen my forces along this river here that now I cannot read, but then take control of Svoboda, and then curve southwards following the Don Bend, and at the same time the 17th Army and part of the 5th of the 1st Panzer Army will attack northwards, and the idea would be to close in an enormous, I think really the biggest pocket ever. All of the Soviet troops stationed here in the Donetsk Bend now. And there will be a huge battle of annihilation, which I think and I believe will be enough to turn the tide of the war in terms of number of units on the map. And if this won't be enough, then I still have one option, which is to regroup, let's say, to keep the Second Army here and the Second Hungarian Army here, and then reinforce the 6th Army and the 4th Panzer Army here, and the 1st Panzer Army to the south, and then I would like to encircle all of the Soviet troops in this area here again, to make a second smaller pocket and of course annihilate the Red Army before pushing into Stalingrad with the 4th Panzer Army. The 4th Panzer Army will then advance, will hopefully cross the Volga, which is kind of, let's say, anti-historical, because I think that the Volga here is like 1 or 2 kilometers wide, so you just don't cross the Volga on tanks. But yeah, I don't know, maybe I will have to set up an in-house rule not to cross the Volga, even though, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I will actually stick to this rule, but anyway, yeah. So the 4th Panzer Army will attack and advance along the Volga and take Astrakhan, while the 6th Army will be busy battling at Stalingrad, while the 1st Panzer Army, together with the 5th Army and the 17th Armies, the 5th and the 17th Armies, yes, will attack along the Caucasus, and the goal here is to advance along the only double track railway line from Rostov to Armavir, Mineralny Vody, Mozdok, and then Grozny, Makalachka, or whatever it's called, and then finally Baku. And yeah, the 17th Army will have the task of also clearing Krasnodar, Novorossiysk, Tuapse, and maybe with the Mountain Corps advance into the Caucasus Mountains themselves. And this was briefly the, let's say, the plan for Case Blue. Is it perfect? No. Will anything go wrong? Most likely yes. And what happens if I fail to reach the Caucasus? Well, I'm screwed. I am absolutely screwed, because the campaign will last into 1943, and if the initiative switches in October already, yeah, I mean, we will see again, and we'll see you all in 1943 and 1944, and this will be really the longest series I've ever brought onto the channel. And so, yeah, wish me good luck, and having said that, folks, I really wish you all the best. I thank you very much for watching, and I thank you very much for supporting the channel. And now, without further ado, let's dive into the fast-forwarded mode. in which, yeah, I will just shuffle around some infantry and panzer divisions on the map. And before going to the fast forward mode, I just realized I have to mention one thing also, the strategy of the infantry units. So I am receiving I received several infantry units, and there are more to come in May and June. Now, it's true that because of the Case Blue event, now all these units have 80, or instead of 75 or even 70 they will have at some point, so they are still good, but they are relatively naive. And when I was looking at the commander's report, I found one infantry unit that deserves to be mentioned in the introduction of this video, and this unit is the 131st Infantry Division. Now, why is this? Because this is the only battle-hardened unit, the veterans of 1941, that has 99 morale points. Now, I have never seen anything like that, and even in terms of experience, the men of the 131st are quite experienced. And because of this, I was actually planning, and I'm doing, I am sending back to the 4th Army the 218th Infantry Division, which is naive, I would say, and I will swap it with the 131st Infantry Division. And I was thinking also of doing the same, maybe with the 384th. Like, this unit has, yeah, 16,000 men, and I think I've seen here around maybe the 85th. Okay, no, maybe I was wrong, or maybe they are in the 16th Army. Because I've seen some units also here in the north that were quite experienced. Yeah, like the 217 that has a morale of 94, and also a decent chunk of experience. So I'm very much tempted to just pull this unit out of the 16th Army and then just send it here southwards to reinforce the line of the 5th Army. And yeah, basically that's it. This is the plan. Always swap the weak infantry or the unexperienced infantry divisions with the most experienced ones, especially the ones that survived the winter battles, the defensive winter battles, and yeah, just and use these veterans for the upcoming summer offensive. That's all. That's it. And well, now enjoy the reshuffling of the Axis units.